Everybody, and welcome to A2I Dyslexia Show. It's such a privilege today to have the amazing guest who I'm about to introduce on our show. Now, this show is funded by the European Social Funding Agency, Education Skills Funding Agency, EQUIP, and we are really, really glad that they're able to support us during such difficult times, i.e. COVID-19 pandemic, and most of us are probably pulling our hairs out right now, working from home. Even if you are going back to the office, maybe you're a bit worried, and all sorts of things that are happening at the moment. And I think having this funding has been such a great piece of funding, if I can use that word again, to support the dyslexic community and neurodiversity community. Today's topic is titled Dyslexia. How can we make people with dyslexia's life better with technology during COVID-19? Now, it will be useful for most people watching. I think whether you got dyslexia or not, it would be. And I'd like to introduce the wonderful Myles, is it Pilling?
Yes,
Myles.
it is.
Have I got
Pilling.
the name right?
Yes, you have.
Myles
Absolutely
Pilling.
right.
Excellent. So Myles is a consultant at Accessibility Solutions and the council member at BATA, Wiltshire, United Kingdom. My dyslexia may kind of get me to pause on certain words. Do pardon me, our listeners and viewers, but my condition is real. And somebody once sent a message and said, look, I love the shows you do because nothing's edited. You are real and you are who you are. And dyslexia, part of it for me is pronunciation. So Myles is an experienced advisor, trainer and consultant, and he runs his own consultancy called Accessibility Solutions. He's a council member of British Assistive Technology Association, went in brackets, BATA, and volunteer county coordinator at AbilityNet, where he coordinates volunteers to meet the needs of disabled people needing ICT help in their homes. He also has over 30 years experience working in schools as an ICT coordinator, class teacher, and with special needs. Myles helps people to find assistive technology, which I found at university, which changed my life completely, solutions to help them overcome their illnesses and disability. He provides specialist individual ICT SEN assessment as well as training and strategy advice to schools and settings to enable them to maximize and embed their use of ICT SEN, and also deals with individual clients as part of their case management, working with agencies that supply support in homes. Okay, that's it about Myles. Now, I thought there was a bit more, but that is it. Myles, welcome to A2I Dyslexia Show. It's such a privilege to have you today. Now, I have read a little bit about you, but maybe you can tell our viewers and listeners a little bit more about why you're passionate with the work you do.
I'll tell you that basically I've been a teacher, obviously, for a long time, and I've worked with loads and loads of people with dyslexia as part of that, but that's a part of what I've done in my life. I've been basically a practicing teacher. I never wanted to be a head teacher. I never wanted to progress to that. I wanted to continue to do what I do. And I think, you know, the way we get into things, I actually began my computing aspect in the mid 80s. And the very first encounter was with a child who had speech difficulties, and we had a game which practiced speech and language therapy. She wasn't dyslexic, she had severe learning difficulties, and it was when I saw how the computer helped her to practice what was quite a boring activity, which is the speech and language therapist says "buh," and then the child says "buh," and then you repeat it again and again and again. But if you've got a game with a helicopter and it's taking off and you're going ba 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 ba, we're practicing that sound, but we're using a means that's gamified and a bit more interesting. So what I like is engaging people and engaging lots of students for that. And recently I actually, it's a bit of a thing, but my wife nominated me for a local radio station that was doing Making a Difference in COVID. I won't tell the whole story because it will take too long on the call, but just to say that I connected an elderly person with her dementia husband the day he died. on COVID. He'd passed away on COVID, and she was connected to see him on Skype. And she turned to me and said, "You don't know how much that means to me. I haven't seen him for well over 12 weeks now." So, but what happened was that if you won this award, you got your name on a train. And I heard last week, I've got my name on a train.
That's
but what is
wonderful.
really cool is the person who died was a real train fanatic.
Oh.
And I said, look, I don't really want my, not that fantastic got name on a train. I really like his name on it. And they wrote back and said, yeah, we're going to put it on a high-speed train in remembrance of this man. So isn't that a wonderful story of how God...
That is such a beautiful story.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean... life is incredibly busy. I have not stopped since COVID began. It's been hugely important, as you have pointed out, that in these times we need technology to help us. So I am working with all ages. I usually say to people I work from sort of like 5 through to 90. So I cover a huge span now. When I was working as an advisor, I loaned out equipment to people with a range of needs, and I had dealt with over 500 children plus on speech recognition and giving them laptops, as those days were, and then tablets later on to help them do their schoolwork. So that's my background, Elizabeth. Yeah,
excellent. It's such, honestly, that I know we spoke a couple of weeks ago before actually doing the show, and I was really blown away. And I honestly, I walked away and I thought, you know what? I love my job. I love my job because I get to speak to people like yourself, Myles, who are helping millions of people to turn their lives around in terms of disability and neurodiversity. And I know for me, a very important part of my life, or what turned my life around, was assistive technology. Now, when I see that computer standing there on its own and you're speaking to it and it's doing what you want it to do, I mean, what can I say? It's just, everything just becomes so perfect in my world. And thank you so much for the work you do, Myles. You're doing such amazing work, and thank you so much for that. Now, I'm just going to literally let people know who I am, because I think I forgot to say that. So my name's Elizabeth Tetchy, and I'm the founder of HY Dyslexia. You probably watch us live sometimes on our live platform, and also some of our live shows and podcasts and all sorts of other things that we had to suddenly change the way we work. We were face-to-face, 9 months ago, maybe 10 months ago. And all of a sudden, we had to adapt to a different way of working. Now, technology is the way forward. I think everybody would probably agree with me. And if you're not up to scratch with it, you will be left behind. And I think assisted technology, for example, right now, sort of where people are working from home, it may be a good help to someone. Now, I'm going to go straight to my first question. Would you be able to show us a demonstration of an assisted technology, of how one can turn their life around, i.e. writing essays, whether it's a report or whether it's an email? How would we do that?
Okay, well, the fastest way that you can do that is through speech to text, through a program or some form of assistive tech that allows you to input with your voice. Apparently, it's 50% faster than typing. So there's a huge benefit in that. So what I'm going to demonstrate to you first, Elizabeth, is Dragon Dictate, naturally speaking, individual professional. And I mentioned the whole title because there are lots of versions of the product. And you may have tried it years ago and it wasn't that brilliant. But now it's really good, and the individual professional is the best version out there. It is costly, but it is the one recommended for access to work, which we'll talk about later. So I'm just going to share my screen. Hopefully I can do that and you can see it. And I'm just going to actually load up Microsoft Word directly from my voice. Close down a few extra windows that we don't need. So I'm not going to touch the screen or the keyboard at all. And you will just see this actually just work. Wake up. Start Microsoft Word. Blank document. I did cheat a little bit there, just changing a few things to make it easier for you to see. Full stop. I can speak in a natural voice and it records exactly what I want to say in real time. Full stop. New paragraph. My name is Myles Pilling and I live in Melksham, Wiltshire. Full stop. New paragraph. Open quotes. Wow, says Elizabeth, exclamation mark. Close quotes. Said Myles. Full stop. Go to sleep. Now, when I say go to sleep, that puts it there. So you can see we're at the position where it's almost 100% correct. If you notice, my name is properly spelt in the paragraph there, and it also knows proper names. You can actually use different techniques to spell with it and input your own words. But in many ways, you can make that work for you. And I just want to edit one thing to show you how that works. So I'm just going to tell it to wake up again. And what you'll see is that it is actually going to work. So we're going to select Myles and we're going to change it to and spell the proper version. Wake up. Select Myles. Choose 2. Choose 2. Go to sleep. Now, I don't know if you noticed there, but it actually remembers or knows that my name is spelt like that because it's seen it before. So it learns as it goes along. So what should happen is that your speech recognition gets better and better, and that makes it work.
Fantastic. So, wow. And is that like a latest version, or because
yes.
mine one doesn't do that. I've got Dragon, and I can't ever remember it telling it to go to sleep. I just have to stop it manually on a clicker. I've got mine on a clicker, so I have to keep stopping it. And this is fantastic. The fact that you can even say, go to my Microsoft blank document, phenomenal.
Yeah, and what may be happening, Elizabeth, with your particular version is go to sleep is a standard command, as is wake up. You only need about 9 commands to do what I've done. So for a dyslexic, that's quite important because dealing with a lot of things is quite difficult, isn't it? So having the facility to actually, be able to close it down and to be able to stop it, because it's actually not a great tool for sharing. But there are so many things that can go wrong. For instance, your voice might not have the right microphone input. In other words, there is a problem with the headset. Also, there may be a problem with the processing of the computer. This is a fast 3 gigahertz computer, and the speed of feedback is important for that speed. So the tech spec of the machine, and then the version of Dragon. As I said, the older versions weren't as good as what you're seeing here. And so that's why you may be having problems. Check your headset, check the computer speed, check that you've got the best input.
Now, Myles, this may not be suitable for everybody because obviously when we go for our needs assessment or, when we go for our dyslexia assessment as well, everyone dyslexia may be different. So it may not necessarily work for everyone. I just thought I'll stress that so that our viewers and listeners will know that not everybody will be using the Dragon. What other technologies are there for people with dyslexia to use? Speech to text is one, Dragon is the other. Is there any other? I mean, not that you'll be able to demonstrate it today, but what else could you think of apart from Dragon?
I can demonstrate to you today. What I'm going to do is just close here. And I have in my arsenal, I'll just close this as well. Yeah. And go back to the web. And I have a program running here called Appwriter. And Appwriter will speak to you, and it'll also do word prediction as you type. And that is another tool that we use in the dyslexic arsenal. So hopefully, if I make sure I've switched it on, enable word prediction. I've made sure it's in English because it was set in German when I set off on this. So what should happen now, if I start to type, is you'll see a list of words on the right-hand side coming up. And I have found with a lot of children that they can usually find the word a lot quicker than if they have to try and spell it in their head through sounds. There is no research to back up what I'm saying. I've been asking students in universities to actually do this because it'd be a really interesting project. You know, is it quicker than other methods of input of hearing sounds? So I want to write the phrase, "This is a good tool to use." Okay, so I'm going to write it and I'm going to pick out the sounds. I can actually hear
the, that, this.
Okay, this. Okay, if I press that along,
of,
and it knows that because it is what we call a contextual tool, it's working out what the next word would go with this. So down here we've got is, and then you would expect the A to appear.
A.
Yeah. Now the word good.
A.
And
great.
Elizabeth, play the game with me. Can you find the word good on my list? Which number is good, do you think?
Number 2.
You're great.
Good.
And then thing.
2.
So
2.
I'll just try the next 2 letters. Usually
That.
by the 3rd letter, you've got the word that you need.
This.
Actually, I've got a plural down there, haven't I? So I might have to use that.
I'll leave you to do that, shall I?
And
Thingy.
And I'll just speed it up a bit because some dyslexic students would not want to be using this.
It.
Are you hearing this at all?
Yes, I am.
It's
yes.
Good, because I wasn't sure if that sound was coming across. And so
this is a good thing to do.
And it'll read it back to you. So here we've got word prediction, sound support, and the actual technology to do it. And the beauty of it is that this can work across any software, or you could just switch it off. I can switch it off
and
here.
What's the name of this one, Myles?
Appwriter.
Appwriter. And is it you can download it onto your computer?
Yes, it is a subscription-based product. That means that you pay an annual subscription for it. I know that's a bit of a pain, but there's also a free plugin for Google Chrome, and that's up here. I've got it here, and it will actually do it as a plugin. Again, you will probably have to be provisioned with an account by Appwriter, the company. But what is really cool is the feature that allows you to complete PDFs online and therefore online forms, which I think was a question you were going to ask about.
Yes.
So it allows you to fill in those forms online. Would you like me to demonstrate how that might happen?
Yes, please.
Okay, here we go. Let's go to a PDF. I'm not saying that this, oops, wrong one. That's not the one I was looking for. Hold on. Yeah, here we go. Well, this is an online form, but it is a PDF. And if you imagine that I could actually hear that read to me, I know there are many products that will actually do that. So I can press the play button and hopefully that will read back to us. He says optimistically.
Disclaimer: this research is not an endorsement by IDFI of any of the strategies and interventions described.
Okay.
Neither does it represent government policy or indicate future policy direction.
Now, I did actually go to the website for Access to Work, and you have to fill in an online form.
Yes.
Shall we talk Access to Work? You know,
yes,
people
please.
might not know what that is.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Well, apparently employers and employees can apply for a grant equipment that will enable them to actually obtain the right seating, which if you have a problem with, say, a back problem, that's the usual kind of access to work issue that people come with, or the usual secretary one, which is repetitive strain injury on the wrist. Therefore, they might want some technology. Anyway, to get the form to go in, you have to spell complicated medical words. So, I mean, for me, dyslexia is a kind of weird word to spell. I don't know about you, but I struggle with it, and I'm not dyslexic. So I'm just going to enable the word prediction to go on. And as soon as I start to spell, it will hopefully give me the word. I haven't practiced this. There you go, right at the bottom.
Dyslexia.
Okay, so I can then click on that and it puts it in the form. So literally I've only put 2 words in. I can continue on, and yeah, these are easy enough. And you can fill those in by just ticking them, so I won't worry about that too much. But wherever there's a bit of text that you have to put in, these tools will help you get it right. And from words to dysfunctional, if you're feeling dysfunctional, you can have that in. But it all begins on the first 2 or 3 letters. So that's really significant in this technology. And when I'm working with children, I usually say to the support seat teachers or assistants, get them to spell the first 2 or 3 letters of any given word, and they can then have this tool instead of an adult bolted onto them to help them do exam papers and all the rest of it. Now, the beauty of the PDF reader is that exam papers can now be accessed with this technology using word prediction. And this year they've allowed word prediction into the exam. Speech recognition also into the exams. So that's been there for a few years. But gradually and slowly we're beginning to find that the technology is now being able to be used there. And if you're not a native British speaker, there are other languages that you can use.
How many languages can one use?
I'm not certain. I would have to go download and tell you that. I would imagine it's most of the ones that Google Translate do. So you're talking about 14 to 21 different languages.
Wow.
And I can assure you, with our multicultural society, it's really useful to have things translated into different languages.
That is so wonderful. And also access to work, obviously, if you've got dyslexia and you're struggling at work and you need a support worker to help you understand what you've written or documents and so forth, you can actually apply for that as well.
Yes.
To be able to get the support you need. That is absolutely phenomenal. Now, I'm getting one of those things, the one you just said, which I've forgotten the word for.
Appwriter.
Appwriter. I've just written it right here. And I think straight after the show, I'll be heading off to Google or wherever you go to find it. Where do I find it? Just Google for it and then download it.
The company is called WizKids. Here they are. This is WizKids. If you get the logo. And as a teacher, there's lots of wonderful things that you can use in there. It analyzes the way you write, and therefore any analysis of somebody's needs, because as you're well aware, although there's this badge of dyslexia, it might not be, my dyslexia might be slightly different to yours.
Absolutely.
So I have never found 2 people with the same dyslexia. There's always slight nuances. But actually, out of all the children that I've tested and used word prediction, there's been about 1% who can't cope with it because their dyslexia building of words is so weird in their eyes, and the word prediction can't pick it up. Most times people can do that. And to be honest with you, in the work setting, using your voice is a bit embarrassing. In the classroom, it's also a bit embarrassing. I usually say to people, it's your private tool, which you can use at home or in a context where it's not going to disturb or make you seem a bit odd to everybody. And kids don't like being different, do they?
Exactly. Adults, I think adults don't even like being different, because in the office, if you're in the office setting, and for example, I would need a screen protector, which is not protector, what is it called? The blue thing that go over the screen. I can't remember the word of it at the moment. I would need that. Filter, that's right. Some people, everybody's different color. I'm blue, some people are pink, whatever color it might be. Now, I stick out like a sore thumb in the office because I've got my glasses on, which is blue tinted. Then I've probably got my screen protector, whatever it's called, and that's blue. And then I've got dragons on, maybe my headphones are on, and then I've got something else talking to me at the same time, and I need peace and quiet when I'm working. Yeah, so
Right.
I am a bit of an oddball. I normally say that. And to be honest with you, every single technology that can help to be able to get that work done, I'm up for it. And I've got loads of them at the moment.
Well, let's talk about something that's accessible. You notice we use Dragon, which is quite an expensive solution. But last year, Microsoft had done an awful lot of work on making their software accessible. And this is important for people in the real world who use Office 365 and also Microsoft Office 2019, 2016. And I'm looking at it here now. I'm going to switch off the Appwriter because it's going to get in the way of what we're doing. But I can, for instance, input through built-in Word here. This is online. This is happening in real time, and there's a little microphone. And as I always say to people, you might know it's there, you might not know it's there, but it requires the internet, and people are only using about 10% of what's out there to use. So here we go. This is dictate on the home menu of Microsoft Word. That's where you find it.
Right.
So what I'm trying to do here, is write with my voice, and it's now completing this text, although a little faintly on my screen, exactly as I want it to do. Full stop. New paragraph. As you can see, it does basic word prediction, but it's not as good a tool as Dragon, but this is built in and is on every Microsoft Office 365, Microsoft Word 2016, Microsoft Word 2019.
Okay, so I would have one of those. I don't think I've seen mine. Or mine, yeah, or perhaps maybe not. I don't know. But
you need to go to your, if you use online Office 365 or any of those programs, it should be there. Okay.
Fantastic.
But the fun doesn't stop there. It's all very good having it written for you with your voice to make life easier. But what about it reading back? And therefore, it's really important that you find the reader called Immersive Reader. And it's under the View menu in Microsoft Word, and it allows this to be read back to you. Watch what happens on the screen. And I can have that read back to you in a dyslexia-friendly font and well-spaced.
What I'm trying to do here is write with my voice. And it's now completing this text, although a little faintly on my screen, exactly as I want it to do.
Okay. Now you notice that the word write isn't right. I can't actually change that with my voice on Word, but I can use my hands and try that. And also I could have done it on, I can make that change in Dragon, like the way I changed my word Myles, but I can't on this. So I equate it to a little mini car. It does a really good job, but it's not a Rolls Royce. Okay, the Rolls Royce is Dragon.
It's really strange, Myles. I didn't notice that. For me, that was how you spell right.
Yes, it's right, but it's
right.
wrong.
Exactly.
It's wrong. Yeah.
So someone with dyslexia, I would send my email with that, because to me is right. But obviously it's not.
You've obviously seen the text where actually every word is misspelt, but you understand the meaning. We're ever so good at decoding things. And I think such a thing like that is forgivable and easily changed from there.
Wow. But it's phenomenal. What I love about it is that the screen can change to whatever color you set it to, which I read better.
There are a few changes. Yeah. If I go to, I think it's here. Yes, you can change it to a light yellow. You can change it to a black. You can invert it.
Wow.
You can make it back to normal. You can increase spacing, you can increase text size, you can change the font. It's whatever works for you.
Really amazing. I just hope that our listeners, our viewers who are watching right now may benefit from this. I mean, look at the wonderful demonstration that Myles has taught us today. Again, Office 365, look for it. Look for the mic. It is there. Particularly now that we're working remotely, it may be a really great tool for someone who is struggling to either get a report written or emails. Does it do emails, Myles?
No, I'm sadly not. That will have to be a new addition when it gets plugged into it. It's just Word at the moment that it comes into, but I mean, you can also use it on PowerPoint. But PowerPoint has some useful additions for the hearing impaired, in that it will subtitle and caption any presentation you do. I could have done PowerPoint and have it subtitling as it went along. But yeah, it's an evolving thing, and certainly there's lots to share about that.
Wonderful.
Now, there's also
fantastic.
Can I show you just one more thing?
Yeah, of course you can, Myles. Yeah.
Google does the same, and there is a facility in Google. So far, I've shown you 2 methods of speech input, and a lot of people use Google because it's free. There's no cost to this, whereas obviously you have to pay for Microsoft. So I think if budget's a thing, you might need to just know about this, which is under the Tools menu. Under the Tools menu, there is a voice typing item here. So let's do this in Google. So I click the microphone, which is visible to me, and then I start to type. And I just have to click the box. So I am writing now with my voice on Google Docs. And as I'm speaking, it's doing a very good job of translating what I want into a written form. That's good, isn't it? So
how wonderful is that?
So even if you haven't got any money to do things, you can go to Google Docs and click on the Tools bar menu, and down it will show voice typing, and you can use that as your input method. Yeah.
Does it read back? Does it read back to you? The Google
No, no, it doesn't. But if you use it in conjunction with Appwriter, it can. It's because Appwriter is up here on the board here, so it slots in to the memory area here. I can have a different voice with this. So let's see if this works. It should work. So let's give it a go.
Click the box. So I am writing now with my voice on Google Docs, and as I'm speaking, it's doing a very good job of translating what I want into a written form.
Yeah, did you hear that?
I did hear that. Fantastic.
So it actually was doing something that I really like, which is highlighting the words as they're spoken. That alone could really help dyslexic people, because I know that we give children lots of practice, or even people, but the main point is having that highlighting occurring. Let me just do that again if you hadn't noticed it. I'll make the text slightly bigger so it'll be visible to the screen a bit easier for those who might struggle with sight. So I'm just going to highlight all of that and press the play button on there.
Click the box. So I am writing now with my voice on Google Docs, and as I'm speaking, it's doing a very good job of translating what I want into a written form.
Okay, so it's going to help people learn those words. That's what it will do. It will teach as you write, because I'm a firm believer that you write what you speak. And so if you're using words you want to use, not because some teacher or some other person requires it. Your problem with your word today, for instance, you know, it could be solved by actually hearing it and seeing it read to you. Okay,
Fantastic.
It's using multi-sensory means to do that.
This is amazing. So we've got something that's free. We've got something we can download, which is called, I've got it right here, Appwriter. And it's got a cost to it, as I guess subscription, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I could send you the details. I just haven't put it
Wonderful.
to hand.
Wonderful. Because what we will then do is when we share the video and share, when we share the video, of course, we can put all those links there if anybody is interested in purchasing that. And of course, Dragon. Now, Dragon's very expensive. Am I right in
Yes.
saying that?
Yes. There are cheap versions, but you get what you pay for. And as you can see, Google, I rate Google quite highly, better than Microsoft actually in terms of recognition. It does a good job. It's been doing it for years. For instance, I don't know if you've noticed, because a lot of people don't, but if I go to Google, for instance, just Google the search engine, I just want to show you this because I reckon your readers won't have noticed it. Do you see this little microphone I'm pointing to? That's on the
Yes, I
search
do.
window. Some people will know about that, but let me just demonstrate it. I'm a Burnley football fan. I'm a really sad person. So here we go. What was the last match score of Burnley football team?
Last Saturday, Burnley played Newcastle. The final score was 3-1 to Newcastle.
Boo-hoo. Okay, so it's a search window. And if you can't type in that word to find it, it's actually done with your voice. Did you know that, Elizabeth?
No, is the answer. I've seen it there, but I've never ever touched it before. So here we go. I think everybody that's waiting for an email from me will probably start getting one very soon. Can I use it in an email, or is it just basically for search engine? It's a search engine, I guess, isn't it?
It's Google, and it works on any device.
Oh, wow.
As long as you see the microphone,
Yeah.
because the microphone means there's a microphone on your machine. If it's not there, you won't have the microphone. So that's all.
Yeah, I've actually seen it, but never ever have I used it before. And I think that's such a great demonstration. So if I was struggling to spell a word, I'll just put that in, I guess, say it, and it will spell it for me. Myles, it's amazing having you on our show. We're not quite finished yet. Would you be able to give us like maybe 2 top tips of how one can access accessibility in a workplace?
Well, certainly go to your employer and say to them, because employers will be thinking it's going to cost them a lot of money. No, the government pay for this. As long as the business isn't turning over hundreds of thousands. If it's turning over hundreds of thousands, there should be a disability awareness officer in that company, and they can then go to them and the company will pay. There's a kind of ratio of how much the company pays and how much the government pays. But if you're looking at a sole trader or somebody that's running a business with less than double figures employees, then it's liable that they're going to have much of that employment needs met. And of course, it depends on what the need is. Some of these technologies are so relatively cheap that it's really minor adjustments. What the government will say is what's a reasonable adjustment. That's the law, that's the Equalities Act. What reasonable adjustment can you make? If you're thinking about people in their homes and what they can do, then the charity that I'm a coordinator for helps the elderly and those with disabilities. We have one-to-one contact. We have 300 volunteers, one-to-one service in your home, providing help to get you to use these kind of technologies. So that's one other source.
And what's the name of the charity?
AbilityNet.
AbilityNet, wonderful.
Yeah, while we're on the screen, let's just call it the place. We have a central telephone line, but you have to be elderly or have a disability to use our service. We'd love to offer it to everybody in different ways.
People with dyslexia, can they tap into this?
I don't see
Can
reason.
anyone with dyslexia? Right.
I don't think we've really focused on that as a charity. I to be honest, I haven't got the details of that. But if you look at it, the other arm of AbilityNet does DSA assessments. So I think the short answer is probably not, because they'll treat it as a DSA issue. I suppose it depends.
Oh, right.
Workplace services, there's a workplace assessment here. So, I mean, all of these things, companies, you could tell them to come to this site, because there's a kind of free arm, which is what I work for, and a badged arm.
Wonderful.
And of course, look us up for Barter. We have interesting resources that you can go to, barteronline.org. People say Barter, whatever, and you will find that we've actually got responding to coronavirus page under news here, and on here what the companies are doing to help people in this period of coronavirus. Many companies are offering their software free of service, so there's a lot there that people can take their information of, links to take to, and you might want to use that. Okay, so my top tip is that.
Thank you so much, Myles. Thank you so much. Now, what we might do is obviously the links that you shared with us. Alex, who's in the studio, will obviously get a hold of those links and share it when he posts the show on all the different A2I Dyslexia platform. We'd like to say thank you so much, Myles, for coming on our show today, and thank you for the information you shared with us. Thank you for the demonstration. And we'd like to thank the European Social Fund, the Education Skills Funding Agency, for funding such a brilliant project for people going back to work, people who are unemployed, and so forth. There was one last thing I wanted to ask you, Myles, just before we go. Can we use these? Can we use these tools you've demonstrated to fill in forms? Now, for a lot of dyslexic people, yes, we can. Is that
the Appwriter form will take up an editable PDF, which it'll convert it to, and it will put a kind of window across the PDF, and you write in it. So it's like putting a transparency across it, but it writes over the PDF. Okay, so
fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Myles. Keep up the wonderful work you're doing, and we thank you for coming on A2I Dyslexia show, and we will share all the links with our listeners, our viewers. Keep up the good work, and we want to say thank you for everybody for watching. See you next week, same time, same place. Bye bye for now.